It's 9:38 now. That's 22 until 10 o'clock. My name is Bob Mason.
My name is Cliff Nash. Good morning.
And we are the saviors of Capital Land Radio.
You better believe it.
1 week from tonight at the Turf, Bobby on a Spit, the roast to benefit cystic fibrosis. And what a night this is going to be.
It's getting ready. We're going to roast you till you're well done.
Well, now let's just go easy on Bobby, you know, because I got some stories I can tell about everybody who's on the panel.
I'm sure you can.
Curtis Sliwa, Liz Bishop and Brian Burnell, Fran Ingram from the Times Union, Jimmy Coyne, the Albany County Executive, Fred Dicker from the New York Post, Jimmy Tuffy, the president of the Albany Police Union, Chris Capostacci from 13, Uncle Vito Masonetti, John McLaughlin from 10, Ed Levine from Here at Pix 106, Danny Ferris, Rand Condal, the president of the Public Employees Federation, and the roastmaster is going to be Cliff Nash. And I've got some goods on every one of you, so you got to be careful what you. Oh, that's right. We're gonna have a surprise appearance from my former partner. What's his name there? You know how quickly we forget. What?
The mystery roaster.
Yeah,
right?
the mystery roaster. What did Jimmy the Greek Hendricks say this morning? Sheehan's supplying dessert. He's going to be bringing his.
Call the sour grapes.
Yeah, the sour grapes. But it's going to be quite a time, and you can join us. All you have to do is give a call to make reservations. The number is 489-2677. We're going to have a cocktail hour with tons of hors d'oeuvres, a full sit-down dinner, and a great time. $30 per person. Rock and roll the night away after the formal roast is over with Rip Rock Bop.
Sounds great.
It's going to be a wonderful time. The number again is 489-2677, and all the proceeds are going to cystic fibrosis. Bobby and Cliff aren't even making a penny off of this one. Not a scam involved in the whole damn thing. Listen, before we go any further, I got to apologize.
What did you do now?
Well, I had the name of the people who are doing the video work today all screwed up. You know, they hand me a card and I read professional videos. Actually, it's Sunrise Video Productions of Saratoga Springs.
Well, they're here at the right hour.
Yeah, nice folks. I hope everything turns out well, but I got to tell you, a lousy logo. You know, I look at the card and I say professional. Really, you can't see the damn sunrise on that thing. You know, they ought to go out and get a graphics designer.
I can see it from here. What's wrong with you this morning?
I don't see that. I see professional videos, consumer and industrial, and then Dylan Linden and Lee and Carroll. That sounds like some kind of wife-swapping action or something, doesn't it? I don't know. What the hell kind of videos do these people make? I'm disgusted just by the thought of this thing. We got four people there, all of whom seem to have French-Canadian names. These people friends with
French Canadians, I don't know.
All you Canadians are a bunch of laughs, you know that?
Well, there's a great plug for Sunrise Video.
Yeah.
If you don't know them by now, you never will.
But pick up for 1995 today.
The one thing that you have to remember as we get into the roast is that Bobby gets final dibs. I've got the hammer. These folks can say whatever they want tonight, but I get the last say. So they'd better remember it also, because payback is a bitch.
It's just a few days before the Bob Mason roast, and I want to tell you that everything is falling into place very nicely. As a matter of fact, Bob Mason just fell into place in the studio. It's a pretty sad sight, but he'll pull himself together. The fact that all these people are going to roast Bob Mason is the best thing. I think it's testimony to just how frightened the whole arts community is of Bob and what he might say about them on the radio if they don't show up for the roast.
no matter what the future brings, as time goes by. Fabulous, fabulous. Haven't been singing like that in a long time. Composer. Moonlight and love song, never out of date. Hearts full of passion, jealousy and hate. Oh, hello, big boy. Are you glad to see me? Or is that a pipe in your pocket? Well, that's your head, baby. Get out of here. The man must have his mate, that no one can deny. It's still the same old story of my...
Latest heavyweight to come out of Catskill, New York. You all know him as Bob Mason, savior of Capital Land Radio with the insurance companies, and they're here. And the IRS know him as Mr. Roy Moon. And now I'd like to introduce to you. Sorry. I'm sorry. Out of the box. Already. There it is. I'd like to introduce. I apologize. Sheila, I apologize, but I'd like to introduce your roast master for the evening, Cliff Nash.
I'm the other guy. The guy you won't see on TV later. Thanks, Bill. I appreciate it. Well, it's finally here. Bobby on a spit, or spit on Bobby, as we affectionately call it around the studio. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everybody that we're all on TV tonight. This is being filmed, and I understand WXXA is going to show it as a 1-hour TV special. So if you told your wife or husband you were supposed to be in Chicago for the weekend, or you're sitting next to someone that you really shouldn't be with, like your daughter, maybe you better go over there in a corner, all right? I'd like to thank Diane Permani and Randy Corey of Cystic Fibrosis for giving us a long-awaited opportunity, something I've waited for 6 years now. The opportunity to hear Bob Mason say absolutely nothing. As we get our licks in for a change. You know, we had thousands of phone calls and letters to the station, people wanting to get in on this. Literally thousands. They begged to be on this panel. Unfortunately, we had to narrow it down to 13 or so of Bob's close friends, dear friends. You'll find that most of them probably were on the other end of Bob's questionable wit and humor, sometime between 6 and 10 a.m. in the morning. A special thanks to David Allen, who was our honorary chairman. David is not here tonight, unfortunately. But let's give him a big hand anyway, because he's the guy who really made this all happen. David had to go out to the West Coast and was covering the Academy Awards, and I can understand, you know, it's a little better than this tonight. Probably, maybe dinner was served a little faster, okay? David, however, did leave a sealed envelope in my possession before he left. He swore me to secrecy. He swore me not to open it until this very moment, and I have not. So we're all going to find out what it says together. Dear Cliff, please tell Bob Mason that David Allen, his honorary roast chairman, is sorry he can't make it tonight. I remember Bob as a little kid. He used to come and watch me do Pick a Show on WRTV. Bob was curious about everything and so alert. I remember how he loved one of our special features, named That Stooge. And Bob laughed and laughed when I referred to our telephone as the nut line. And when we had the future homemakers of America on the program, he was most attentive. We called that part of the show the Chefs of the Future. After we visit Pick a Show, I was always so sorry to see Bobby go home, but I never let him know it. I just pat him on the head and say, goodbye, dummy. Please send my regards to Bob Mason, a truly innovative and inventive performer. Seriously, sincerely, David Allen. David's also responsible for two unexpected guests on tonight's program, Rip Rock Bob. Okay, they got a little song put together for Bobby. We'll get a little later. And the once and future king, the man who pulled the Magic Act last July and disappeared, and then reappeared as producer for News Center 6, Mr. Bill Sheehan, my predecessor. By the way, Bill gave Jimmy the Greek Hendrix a line on the show this morning, a line about the T-shirts at the next Breakfast Club. On the front it'll say Bob Mason and a blank with fill in your name here. We got a lot of special guests tonight, so I'm going to get out of the way. Before the roasters start, I'd just like you all to remember the words of William Shakespeare. Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. We come here to bury Bob Mason, not to praise him. First off the bat tonight, I thought this was illegal. I didn't think family should be allowed on the dais as a roaster, but he made me an offer I couldn't refuse. Bob's favorite uncle, Vito Masonetti.
That's it? I eat chicken and that for that? Come on, we can do better than that, can't we? You know, there we go. See, look at that. Before I get started, by the way, I got everything written here, so if I look like I'm not reading, I'm not. Okay, so we got that done. Don't try to figure out what I'm talking about, because I haven't figured it out, and I don't know, because that's not written here, and I'm just rambling right now. But I was supposed to tell... Wally Hughes, I think, did a wonderful job before dinner. Now, listen, Wally, on the way in, Wally, I gave the attendants there on the banana wagon an extra $100, so you can stay the whole night tonight. All right, and Jim, Mr. Coyne, I did want to thank you for the Lamborghini, and the cement will be delivered there to the Civic Center site on time. And Ed Levine, I dropped those records off at the studio before I came up. See me when we're done. I'll give you the cash. All right. And Bobby, you won't believe this. I was coming up in a limo on the cellular phone. Dutch called. And he said he's sorry he couldn't make it this evening. You'd understand something about he's already done something with one monkey, and he's been haunted about that the rest of his life. I don't know. No, that's funny. You're supposed to laugh. Okay, let's get down to business now. I'll tell you, when cystic fibrosis, you know, they first contacted me about this thing, they said they wanted someone well-known and influential and draws a big crowd, but I told them, I says, I can't. I couldn't stand up here all night and be bugged by everybody. So I says, you know, they had to settle for somebody less, and, well, there he is. Look at him. Look at his tie's all nicely tied and everything. I guess they lowered their requirements a little bit. But the thing that shocked me the most was afterwards, when I found out Bobby was I couldn't believe they come and asked me to roast my own family, my own blood. I couldn't believe that. But what the hell? Okay, I'll tell you the truth about Bobby. He's arrogant, he's rude, he's obnoxious, and besides all that, he sounds like a speared frog. I don't know where he ever got a voice like that. There ain't nobody else in the family that talks like that. I don't understand it. Now, I had a whole bunch of things here that I was going to say. I was going to tell you about the trip to Disney World, how I knew there was trouble on the way down when we're in Atlanta International Airport, and we can't get served at this thing because the waitress remembers him. Now, mind you, thousands of people come through this thing on a daily basis, okay? But he's remembered, and we can't get a cup of coffee at the damn thing. Then we get down to Disney World. Now, what do? They pick us up, take us there in a limousine. They give us nice rooms, everything. They give us a Mickey Mouse credit card with I don't know how much we can spend on it for free on wall. And I should have known this was they gave Bobby free reign of the place. You know, that's like sending Tyson into the ring against Danny Ferris or something like that. Well, Nice to see you, Dan. I was going to tell you. I was also going to tell you about how we took the Mickey Mouse credit card one day and we're going to have a beer. And all of a sudden, Mickey and Goofy come, grab Bobby and take him out. I don't know where the hell he is. He's gone for hours. He comes back with some story about going to an undersea cavern with a block of ice with a 3D wall in it. Next thing I know, we're in the limos back to the airport. We can't never go back to Disney World again. We're banned from there. I can't even go to Disney World anymore. That's what kind of man this is. Now, I guess I was supposed to say 5 minutes worth, but how much time is it? Anybody been keeping track? It's only been 1 minute? Well, how the hell with it? I'm done, so you're going to have to just look at, I'm going back over there and sit down. You can look at me for 4 more minutes then. But there is one thing I want to say that Uncle Vito's never told Bobby before, and I think it's about time that Uncle Vito says it, and this seems to be the special occasion. Goodbye, dummy.
Uncle Vito's house party every Saturday night on Pix 106. Thanks for the cash, Vito. We had a slight change in schedule. Chris Kapostasi is here, and when we first invited Chris to come along, I guess she'd forgotten our prior commitment. We got a threatening letter from some clowns, some serious clowns, that told us that they had first dibs on Chris, and they'd let her come over for about 5 minutes to do her thing, and then she has to go and do the news later tonight. I hope she learned something from the clowns, because she certainly has got a little bit of something to say about our clown here, Bob Mason. The darling of Capital Land News, a lady who my father-in-law thinks is the greatest, Smolinski Kapostasi, you get it, okay? Chris Kapostasi from WNYT.
Thank you, Cliff. I'm delighted to be here. I think that all of you turning out is really a tribute to Bob Mason and the success that he's had at Pix 106. And I honestly want to say tonight that I think all of us in broadcasting aspire to be what Bob Mason is, overpaid. Now, I know you won't take offense at that. I mean, after all, in Vanna White Wheel of Fortune terms, overpaid is 8 letters, twice the number in words usually used to describe you. Now, he takes a lot of ribbing, not just tonight. I mean, you have to admit it. He's in a high-profile business. And a few years ago, I first met him, he called me on the phone and asked me if I would be on a breakfast club. And a lot of people I know warned me, don't do it. You know, and I thought, what could be so bad? What can this guy possibly do on a morning radio show that I shouldn't go? And I used to work at TRY Pix, so I thought the least I could do was go and give him a chance. And we had a good time, and you know, we exchanged a few barbs, but nothing that I would consider terribly off color. And it got to be 10 o'clock, and he was saying his final thank yous to all the people who had been guests that morning on the Breakfast Club. And he grabbed me, kissed me, and yelled into an open mic, "She tongued me." Class act, Mason, a real class act. Class act, McLaughlin, a real class act. Bob likes to talk a lot about class. He likes to talk about his friends in high places. You know, Mary Lou Whitney. You're going to start hearing that name a lot on Pix 106, morning after morning after morning. He likes to talk about how they're close personal friends. Right, Bob? You and 20,000 other people, close personal friends of Mary Lou Whitney. We went to a party last summer that Mary Lou gave. A lot of the media people were there at her place in Saratoga. And I ran into his lovely wife. And I asked her how Bob was doing. And she said, "Who?" And I thought, you know, that's so funny. That's the same thing other Capital N disc jockeys say when I ask them about Bob Mason. And the only thing I can figure out is that they figure if they just pretend he doesn't exist, maybe he'll go away. Well, I have no doubt that considering the latest ratings and the seemingly bottomless pit of a pocketbook of Merv Griffin, that Bob Mason is going to be around for a long, long time. So I want to be sincere, wish you much, much continued success, but don't you dare ever ask me to be on a Breakfast Club again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. I'm nervous as hell. I don't know about you guys. I like the room. I like the studio where all the conditions are controlled except for the cigarette smoke in the air and everything else that goes on. But up here in front of people, and especially in front of TV cameras, I just wilt. Bill, you want your job back?
No.
Oh, okay. How about $100? No, all right. Now, here's another one of those strange relationships that Bob seems to cultivate. I can't understand it. I guess this one all started a few years ago when we first had Mary Lou Whitney visit our Breakfast Club up in Saratoga. And when society calls, this gracious lady is not far behind. But she's not afraid to slum it. I mean, she's been in our studio at 6 a.m. more than once. And you wouldn't believe that place. A lady who always keeps her eyes on high society for the Times-Union, Frances Ingram.
I'm trying out for the patroons. Jim Coyne is here. I just want to know who the hell is going to sponsor this program on WXXA when it runs. Have you ever been in your car radio? You know, we're talking about Bob Mason and radio, not TV, but have you ever been in your car radio and driving along when suddenly the announcer comes on and says, "We now have received this news flash of such importance that it will affect the future and lives of every woman, man, and child for 300 years to come." And just at that moment, you're driving under an underpass, and when you come out, there's an orchestra playing soft music. That really, I don't know about you, but it really gets me upset. But radio from the old days to now has come a long way. And it's sort of anything goes, which if you've listened to Bob Mason, you know that. And I've noticed that the first thing to go is manners. Which is the reason why I'm here tonight, to get even. To roast Mason. And Nash, or is it Sheehan? I always get confused.
We're not sure. It might be Moss. Where's Joe? You ready?
It's kind of fun being up here. This is the first time I've ever been at a bang roast. Have you ever seen so many people on a dais? I mean, you people are going to be here for days.
A bang roast? A bang roast?
I'll tell you, Mason, looking out at your audience here tonight, though, there are a lot of people I don't know, but now I know why you work on radio. Despite Mason's tuxedo, he still looks like an escapee from an evolution chart, doesn't he? You know? Is he not living proof that Darwin didn't have it quite right? I know. You're the reason for birth control, right? You know, Bob began his career in an unusual way, and many of you probably don't know this, but he used to be an announcer for captioned radio. And since then he's come a long way. And he always, every time I do the Breakfast Club, he'll tell me, you know, when the records are playing, that he doesn't understand why people listen to other bad programs on other stations when they can listen to his, you know. Actually, his program reaches thousands of people, and I always tell him, you're just damn lucky they can't reach you. Yeah, but really, did you ever stop to think about what an insecure job he has? I mean, he's up early in the morning, and his whole livelihood is based on people being too lazy to get up out of bed and flip the goddamn records for themselves. Tonight isn't the first time, you know, he's volunteered for a charitable organization. He does this quite often because he has to, because no one wants to pay him. Merv Griffin, his top boss over Carol Raleigh, doesn't mind Mason traveling out of the area to Florida and all around on doing his remotes, because he told me that this is very inexpensive for him. Rather than buying Mason an airfare ticket, he just rents a kennel carrier. Now, come on, really. Mason has lent a whole new meaning to the phrase bad taste. He's elevated it to a new art form. He is to talent what Tom Whalen is to excitement. No, it's really true. You probably remember that in biblical days it was considered a miracle when an ass spoke. Well, listening to Mason, you can't help but realize how times have changed. It's lucky that he's not a building, because if he were, he'd be condemned. I only kid. But it has been said that when snakes get drunk, they see Mason. No, I heard someone say earlier out in the lobby during cocktails that when Mason walks into a bar, the customers take the pledge. When Mason grew up on his family farm in Catskill, times were kind of hard back then. You know, he wasn't as prosperous as he is now. And it was rumored that Mason ate the same grass as the cows did. And neighbors told me they could tell because of the way the cows wandered around the pastures going, No. Wait for it. No, I'm only kidding. Mason is the only person that I know, really, who can have an orgasm when he's driving down the road and seeing the workmen drawing white lines on the highway. Come on, I kid. You know, he also likes to brag about what a sexual athlete he is. And he's been known to brag about having 2 orgasms in a single night. That number would probably be lower, however, if he had someone else in bed with him. He's tried a lot of things over the years. Most recently, he even tried to enter the world of society. And to thank Mary Lou and Sonny Whitney for being so tolerant of him, he took them out to dinner last August, and to impress them, he ordered roast suckling pig. Well, when the piglet arrived, Bob reaches across to the middle of the table, pulls the apple out of the piglet's mouth, and says, "This is the only way I like my apples." They were really impressed. I only kid. We're really, really good friends. And Mason, if I've said anything to offend you or insult you, believe me, I've tried my best.
So how do you feel? Up next, we have a man who carries a very, very heavy burden of responsibility on his shoulders. Excepting, of course, on Mondays and Fridays, every conceivable holiday, and countless personal days, a man who knows Mason and Nash are the state workers' friends, the president of the Public Employees Federation, Mr. Rand Condell.
You can tell who's the backbone of the Albany economy. Assume the position. Bob, for the state worker's best friend. Getting an extra dumpy was tough. First, I'd like to thank Bob for improving the image of state workers here in Albany. You claim you're the state workers' best friend. That's sort of like calling Al Sharpton and Bobby Abrams brothers. I'm here tonight representing the 57,000 state workers that belong to the Public Employees Federation. And about 20,000 of them work in the Capital Land listening area. You know, we're a very democratic organization. We have to survey everybody every time I get to say something. So we surveyed all 20,000 of them. And you know what, Bob? 3 of them admitted listening to your show. 2 of them told me that the car radio in their state vehicle was broken and it was stuck on your channel. And the other one was your cousin. Seriously though, Bob Mason is really well known, but so are the Three Stooges. But Bob, he's not in their category. Those guys have some class at least. But we union people, we can sympathize with Bob, and I'm sure I'm going to hear more about this over the next few weeks. We're in the same boat. We know how tough it is to negotiate a contract. You've got Merv and we've got Mario. I'd like to talk about negotiations for a second. Most unions, most people would like some sort of COLA in their contract. A COLA is an abbreviation for a cost of living adjustment. Earlier this evening, I told Bob that we wanted a 7% raise in each year of the 2 years of our contract, along with a COLA. Bob said, "Amen, no problem." He waddled over to the bar, got us just what we needed. I'm sorry, that's a 7 and 7 with a COLA, for those of you that didn't catch it. He was so good at that. Where's my writers? Bob's so good at getting what we needed that I thought we'd hire him as our negotiator in the future. Look at what he's done for himself over the past few years. An 800% increase in his salary. You work about as much as a legislator. I don't know if any of you know this, but he used to be a writer. He wrote a book called Dress for Success. It did pretty well, too, until Kmart ran out of extra dumpy black T-shirts. leadership kind of realized after a while there were just so many places you could go in a black t-shirt and a denim jacket before you got thrown out. So when the writing business kind of fell apart, he became a disc jockey, one that doesn't play a record. Here's a man, this guy is terrific, works for only 4 hours a day, and then he needs help.
Lots of help. We got 2 guys now.
He spends his time taking calls from Jefferson Cool and Corey Neuber and Jimmy the Greek Hendricks and the Nutline callers. Hey, with a voice like Bob's, I'd let other people talk for me also. But what we really want from Bob, if we should hire him, is his great rapport with the governor. Mario told me last week that he wants to make Bob the father figure for the family of New York. After all, Bob does what all good fathers do. He wakes you up in the morning, he makes breakfast, in his case for thousands, he reads the newspaper to them and teaches all of his listeners, good manners. As in, now say you're sorry. Now, in theory, that's not too bad of a father, but in reality, at 6 a.m., Bob shoots that theory all to hell. He swears publicly, ridicules his boss, eats breakfast in bars, and laughs at obscene callers on the Nutline. But back to negotiations for a bit. We're trying to get Bob on our negotiating team, folks, but we're a little scared that the state is going to outbid us. I guess you folks haven't heard. Bob may soon become a state worker. The state is considering Bob for the commissioner of drug and alcohol abuse. Where else could they find somebody with such vast experience in both fields? I hear the state is a little skeptical, though. They want to know what Bob will do when he has to supervise the monkeys used for testing drug reactions. When Bob heard that monkeys were kept on drugs for years, he wanted to go right into the cage for a remote. The state said okay, but the monkeys complained. They thought Bobby took up too much room in the cages. But we all know Bob is kidding when he makes fun of state workers. Bob owes an awful lot to us. We've been his straight people for years. Bob complains about the heavy traffic every other Wednesday, the state's payday, in case you haven't heard. But that's nothing compared to the traffic with his daily entourage to the Esquire Motel, or Sun's Tavern, or any joint gutsy enough to host a breakfast club. We heard earlier, so now we all know that Bob's real name is Roy Moon. Moon? No wonder he changed it. Being the wild and crazy guy he is, Bob was out mooning it over a period of time. But there was one problem. Nobody could tell whether he was coming or going. Bob, you've heard it 1,000 times before, but no time is more appropriate than tonight. Good night, dummy.
Thank you, sir. How are you?
Don't we have to take a break soon?
Not yet. Halfway through.
When's halfway?
When's halfway? Sometime tomorrow morning, Bob. Should we give him a break? Nah. My father told me many things when I was growing up, most of which I promptly forgot. but one stuck in my mind. Don't piss off those in power. So, without comment about the tan, not much sun around here lately, Jim. And nary a word about the secret slush fund to buy ballots in the Name the Civic Center contest. That's C-O-Y-N-E. The Albany County Executive, Jim Coyne.
Thank you very much. This is my first roast.
You know him?
Francis, do you have any other cards back there? Actually, I keep my window open in my office, and I work very hard, and the sun seems to come into that window. And it's an Albany suntan, quite frankly. Okay. Patroons 94, Pensacola 89. Wrong sheet. I'll tell you something, my steak was great. How was yours? Really. Vito had an end cut, and he said his was better than my steak. How, everybody else have a good meal? I didn't understand what that green stuff was in between the steak, but it was good though. Okay. Silent pause there for a second. I'll tell you something. I am very honored. Listen, I'm not Johnny Carson, but I'll make the most of it. Am I coming through? I'm very honored to be on this dais, especially with all these esteemed individuals of many walks of life. How honored are you? I am so honored. Especially honored to be on the same dais as with two of the closest friends of Mayor Whalen, Curtis Sliwa, Jim Tuffy. Has anybody heard of the Civic Center? Has it gotten out there? Well, actually, we wanted to get Mason and Sheehan in the Civic Center. Then it became Mason and Nash. Then we found out we accidentally booked the Masons for a convention at the Civic Center. So I told Spectacor to change it. And then we got Perry Mason playing the Civic Center. But I gave it one more shot. I told them to change it, and you people are now the first to know that Perry Como will be at the Civic Center. Actually, we would have loved to get Mario Cuomo. But every time we called his office, they said he's not running. I like the governor a lot. We have a lot in common, and we both get along so well with the press, especially the Times-Union. The Society-Con we're doing all right with, but actually, I wanted to get Bob a gift for this auspicious occasion. I narrowed down my list to 2 items: a subscription to the Knickerbocker News, and the other was a date with Vanna White. Now, you know who's been circulating more, and you know who has a greater life expectancy. You also know the high regard the Knickerbocker News has for me. But I always try to avoid fights, just like 2 other scheduled distinguished speakers here this evening, Danny Ferris, and Fred Dicker. Sorry Fred's not here, because he would have appreciated it then. Anyway, I decided a date with Vanna White was the perfect gift for Bob. I sent her a telegram, COD. She called me SOB. I wired her back SOS. She replied FU. And it wasn't Dicker. I always thought she didn't know what a vowel was. Takes time. Now I've heard Bob spends a lot of time after work at the Esquire Motel without an escort. After all, here's a guy who's so lonesome, he makes annoying wake-up calls and invites total strangers to breakfast. You know, Bob, some people think I spend too much time with horses. I know you don't like horses, but that's because reruns of Mr. Ed are beating you in the ratings. Actually, Bob, you radio guys worry too much about ratings. I never worry about them. Well, maybe once in a great while, like every 4 years. We're doing a lot of kidding tonight about Bob. But really, I missed a line. You know, Bob, we're doing a lot of kidding tonight. But seriously, folks, we as a society can't underestimate the importance of communication. Why? Just a couple of weeks ago, I decided to have a series of meetings with Republican legislators to evoke a spirit of communication and cooperation about the Civic Center. The Pick Civic Center, isn't that a great name? I like it. But 2 days later, they asked me to resign. But you know what I like about them so much is they did it politely. They said, please. And I said, no, thank you. Cystic fibrosis, Bob Mason, a great team. Thank you for coming.
Well, I feel better now, Jim. Thanks a lot. I can do no wrong after that one. Like my tan? Whew. I thought politicians gave speeches for a living. Our next roaster is one of the very few guests we've had in the studio that really seemed to feel at home. And now, if you've never been in our studio, nobody feels at home, not even us. The full ashtrays, the spilled coffee, the need for a new roll-on. But John actually brings something to the studio. He improves the quality of the studio. Let's face it, with those cigars, you can't smell anything else. From WTN Action News, Big John McLaughlin.
You guys are talk. I don't know what the hell Chris Capostacci is so upset about. The last time I was on a Breakfast Club, he tongued me, too. He told me that's what they do on radio. How the hell do I know? Ladies and gentlemen, I came here tonight to pay tribute to a man who has actually become an idol on the local airwaves. A man who almost single-handedly has raised the ratings of Picks to #1 over the past several years. Then I got here tonight and I found out they were not tributing Bill Sheehan, but Bob Mason. go. Bob Mason. Bob Mason, the Jimmy Swaggart of the local airwaves. The only DJ that Reverend Al Sharpton listens to when he's in the Capital District. Bob Mason, the only disc jockey that Will Rogers never met. But Bob, let me tell you, you are here tonight. You are surrounded by colleagues, by friends, by associates. And I think I can tell you from the bottom of my heart and without fear of reprisal or contradiction that not one of us would be here if you didn't have that golf tournament in July. The Mason Golf Tournament, for those of you who have not enjoyed it, is kind of like the Bing Crosby clam bake with a .20 blood alcohol content. It is the only golf tournament where half of the field is stoned at 7:15 in the morning. It gives new meaning to the word "for." You got Mason on the veranda with a cooler of beer, and you got Curtis Sliwa on the 6th green making a citizen's arrest. You know, I could see what was going through Bob's mind when he heard Rand Condell explain that the state workers are going in for a COLA in their negotiations. He's going in for a Coke in his negotiations. This man amazes his boss just by coming in each morning. Bob, we got a telegram tonight from your big boss, Merv Griffin, out in California. Telegram says, ooh. 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 That's all it says. But Bob, let me say sincerely, we're so happy to be here tonight because all of us in the broadcasting fraternity look upon you as David Allen's protege.
I gotta go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
I gotta go to the bathroom.
One more, and then we'll let you go. Yeah, he's got to go to the bathroom. It's not time yet. Here, take this. We got a long way to go. Now, we'll take a break. Jimmy. Jimmy finally made it big. Saw the guy on TV last week. Here he is, fresh from his special assignment, not opening doors for Al Sharpton. The president of the Albany Police Officers Union, Detective Jimmy Tuffy.
Thanks, Cliff. Before I start,
What were you saying, Al, anyway?
don't go
He's
to
trying to open the door, you're going.
He was going to the Breakfast Club. He was the only one. Before I start, I got one thing. I just found in the newspaper yesterday. It says asking for a raise is a joke. If you're having contract problems, here's the reasons. You know, as a police officer, I take an oath of office not to associate with undesirables. And I had to go to my chief, and it was pretty tough. I run a union, and I don't get along with him. And I said, Chief, I've been asked to be a roaster or whatever they call Bobby on a spit. He said, oh, the cops will spit on him. Don't worry about a thing. But I did. I got a letter from the mayor, my best friend. You know, Bobby. And I got to start it out this way. I'm sorry. I toned it down, some of the stuff, but I got to tell you this. I asked the mayor, you know, are you going to come and roast Bobby? He says, no, I got to tell you something. There's not room for two assholes. I'll let Mason do it. I had to do it, Bob. As you know, cops, when we interview people, we're very slow. I just want to tell Bobby, you know your rights, right? Okay, good. Don't say a thing, because the rubber hose and the sap gloves are in the back. I mean, we got sued 3 times this week by him. Really, you know, Merv must like knickknacks, you know? I mean, who else would keep Mason around? You know, I mean, here's a guy that got thrilled in Florida talking to a 75-year-old stripper. I mean, the brawl with the 55 Ds was bad enough, Bobby. I don't forget things on the radio, huh? I don't go to work, so I might as well listen to you. Then, you know, Bobby was real proud one morning on the radio, and he said, that's right after the snowstorm, and he said, I think it was a Monday, Cliff, you might remember this. I mean, you can't find a guy with a 16-inch in the snow. Certainly not Bobby. His wife ties a bow on it for him, you know. I'm just starting. Al Sharpton hasn't here yet. And I really don't want to say it. You know, this is all in good fun. But I asked C. Vernon Mason the other day if he was related to him, and he got insulted, too. You know, if he can't settle his contract, the mayor will hire him on as a PR guy. You know what I mean? Bobby and him do so much together. And then he talked about some movie. Curtis, you going to make a movie or something? He wants a role in it. The only roles they're going to get is his stomach. What do you mean? You think Al Sharpton wasn't dressed right the other day? That was his elastic suit. I asked him for it. He wouldn't give it to me. I'm only on page 2, Bobby. I mean, you wouldn't believe I practiced all day for this. I mean, you heard him. He said he held out, so proud of me that we held out for FM radios in the car, right? So we could listen to picks. He was wrong. We wanted to listen to 6:30 Live with Liz Bishop and Brian Burnell. What's he think? We really get up? Cops don't get up that early in the morning, Bobby. We're still in the hole, you know what I mean? You know, plus the mayor said anybody who listens to picks gets put up. And then last week, I got a memo at the office. I mean, I can't get near the mayor's house, let alone his office. And there was a memo that said, come over. There's a big press conference at City Hall. Well, those of you who've been in there, the men's room on the first floor has been closed for quite a while. They had a reopening. They got more people there than they get at the Breakfast Club for Mason. You know what I mean? And then afterwards, he sent memos out to all the department heads and any union guys that use that. There's a urinal named after Bobby, and you use it. And I understand the mayor's not the best personality in City Hall, but they say when he comes out of that men's room, he's always smiling. Don't worry, Bobby. If he's the savior of Caperland, I want to go to hell. I'm telling you, I met the other savior, Al Sharpton. I like him better. Bobby, I don't want to say anything, but you must use Drano in the morning because nobody has a voice like that. And then some, you know what males do in the morning? They do the 3 S's. Shit, shower, and shave, right? Well, some of us don't go regularly, so we use X-Lax. I told the guy, just turn Mason on at 6. He scares the shit out of you with that voice. Bobby, I did this all by myself, huh? Not bad, huh? I don't have PR guys like these other guys, you know, these elected officials, you know? I don't want to say too much, but he works less than a legislator.
You're the best, Tuff. You're the best.
Then, the greatest one, when I really got to know Cliff Nash, super individual. He coached the winning team in our football game. Mason was in California for one of those other, what do they send him on trips? He doesn't understand something. He's like a ball player. You know, they showcase you. They send those guys on the downslide away, play them in a game, and then say, you know, you're traded, you know. Merv's on the way, he told me. You know, and then, so Bobby has it. So we have the flag football game. So Bobby did good. He got coach of the game. He showed up for every post-game party, pre-game party, and tailgate party, but he didn't know what the hell he was doing coaching, I'll tell you that. He kept yelling one, and our team kept running the same play. So the guy comes out and he says to me, what the hell's wrong? I said, well, Mason's calling the place and keeps calling one. I said, that's for a drink. We had a good time, though. I didn't bring the award, but it'll be here next week. It's something with a big finger on it that I got at the football game. You're getting back. Oh, Bobby, I can tell you. You know, he gets on Cher for being married so time. What the hell, has he got a body or something? You know, he's been married more than God. The best was the other morning. I mean, he was supposed to call Debbie, the girl that joined the dating service and went out with the mortician, and he called the wrong number. But seriously, is there anything wrong with going out with a mortician, or would you rather go out with Bobby? You know, be honest. I'll take the mortician. I mean, the mayor has called us for a meeting next week, and it's a very serious meeting. He said if Bobby's a savior, we're closing a mission on Hudson Avenue. We're moving up to Bobby's house.
Oh, no, tough. You got it. You got it now.
When I was asked to come here and be on, it was great. I guess they told me it was a mayor's fan club. Jimmy Coyne, he hates him. The news media hate Curtis. He can't get in City Hall either. We agree on things. And then that back row, McLaughlin, you know, he's Klein's friend. He's out. I mean, you know, what are we going to do here, Bobby? Don't worry about it. We got all our friends. Then you heard about the trip to Florida. John DeNuzzo had out of Thirsties. It was great. I went over there and I said, what the hell are you taking Mason for? He says, 2 reasons. One, in the morning, you get him up, you get him whacked out, take his shirt off, put him on the beach, he looks like a beached whale. Nobody else will go on the beach. And then when the people are getting too much sun, he stands up and is shady. You know, what can I say? So about a week before the trip, I had to go in and see John DeNuzzo in the Little Horn, and Bob was there with his lovely wife, and don't take anything I say personal. But he goes in the bathroom, he comes out, and he's got this thing blown, looks like a balloon, you know? So Bobby says, Jesus, DeNuzzo come up with a hell of an idea. He's always an innovator, DeNuzzo. He put a balloon machine in the bathroom. Bobby didn't understand. It was a rubber machine, you know. He said he tried to buy one, but he couldn't find one for his size, so small. I mean, can you imagine the broad he talked about in Florida, a 75-year-old stripper and him advertising for rubbers? That's an instant cure for AIDS. Nobody would want to have sex. I'm almost done, Bobby. Don't worry.
Thank God.
You know, the dash for cash is a big joke. Nobody understands it. It's just a little tease from Merv Griffin. And he's saying to Bobby, I got the money, baby, but you ain't getting it. And then Merv said that was a hell of an idea. The dash for cash is going to be a 10-yard run between him and Al Sharpton. Merv knows neither of them will make it. I'm almost done, Bobby. Don't worry. We'll get into the law in a minute. Take a look at Al Sharpton. Don't they dress alike? At least Al combs his hair. I mean, we bailed him out the other night. He combed his hair. Bobby hasn't in years. Now I really got to get into it, Bobby. All honesty. You know the laws of everybody has a little black book. We all have them. All the males out here got them, right? Well, mine's called the Penal Law of the State of New York. Okay? And I looked up a couple of things, and I think he wrote the book. He's broke every goddamn law in the country. I mean, really, Bobby, let's be honest. Your mother, and I got to tell you this. Disorderly conduct, part of the law is an act which serves no legitimate purpose. When his mother had him, that was no legitimate purpose. There's another one that says you can't wear a body vest, which we all know for the police officers, but Bobby's going to get an exception. He's pissed so many people off, he better wear one. Harassment, he's done that to everybody. The biggest one is grand larceny. I mean, every time he takes his paycheck, it's grand larceny. Don't worry, Bobby, I'm going to negotiate for you next week. You know, I think your best bet, seriously, is quitting Pix and going to work for Curtis. At least you know what you're going to get paid. I mean, then you hear about Lisa Walker. She comes on every day. She's on that, what, Nutrisystem diet or something? She's lost 26 pounds in 8 weeks. We're all proud of Bobby. He gained 26 in 2 weeks. The only reason Fran Ingram's here, he wanted to make the social column once in his life. Cliff, I only want to say one thing.
Yeah.
I know what the Three Stooges are now.
Yeah?
He sucked tongue with Kish Pistachi, John McLaughlin, and Jefferson Cool. In all honesty, Bobby, I'm going to let it go at that for now. But all honesty, Bobby did that thing for the football game for us. Gave our union. We did a lot for the McDonald House. I'm really proud to be a friend of Bob's. And, you know, he does a lot more for people than people do for him. And, Bobby, I really mean that. Thanks.
Jimmy's writing a book about his experiences as a police officer. It'll be out next year. Yeah, Bob, you can go to the bathroom now, okay? Rip Rock Bop is up. They were asked to come and play after the festivities so everybody could dance and have a good time if this ever gets over with, right? But as a special treat, they wrote a song. I mean, this is a roast, and they wrote a song about Bobby. So Rip Rock Bop, ladies and gentlemen.
When we were originally asked to do this, they asked us to write a song for you, Bob. And we had a little trouble coming up with anything, so we thought, well, what would Bob do in our place? So we did what we thought you would do in your infinite wisdom. We stole somebody else's material. This is a song by Billy Joel. It was called originally A Matter of Trust. We changed it to Matter of Taste. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Some DJs try to use every trick, but Bob Mason just keeps talking until you get sick. A mind's a terrible thing to waste. I guess it's just a matter of taste. Bob Mason's got a partner, Kid Nash. Sometimes he's funny, but he's mostly a pain in the ass. The enigma of radio. Oh, if you just gotta go, they send them on cruises. They act just like stooges. Bob wears limousines. But for God's sake, don't tell Ed Levine. Bob Mason works the nightline each day. Goodbye, Tommy, thanks for calling. You've been easy prey. But Bob, you've run out of rules you can bend. There's no one left to offend. You say you're our savior. So why this behavior? Do you really act like this? Or do you just hate Kicks 106? Well, Griffin ain't got nothing on Bob. It's no contest when you're talking about chauvinist snobs. I'm sorry, Bob, but I've seen your dates. I guess it's just a matter of taste. Just a matter of taste. Guess it's just a matter of taste. Oh, Bob, your mind's a terrible waste. I guess it's just a matter of taste.
Well, Bob says he's got to go to the bathroom. And since you can't do anything while he's gone, I guess maybe you should get another drink. I know. How about a commercial? Friends, and I know you are my friends. You're all my friends. You're very friendly. And because you are my friends, I have got for you the deal of a lifetime. The deal of a lifetime, something you won't find in any store. I have for you the Fountain of Youth. You've all seen this man who's been sitting here at my left. How old do you think he is? 35? 40? 45? The man is 65 years old. Why does he look... Well, I know he doesn't look that good, but why does he look so good? I'll tell you why he looks so good. The Bob Mason Morning Elixir Package. Guaranteed Fountain of Youth here. The Bob Mason Morning Elixir Package. Every morning, take it religiously at about 5:15. First of all, hot dogs. Not any hot dogs. Cold, mangy hot dogs. You don't know what's in these hot dogs. They wrap them up when you go to the AM PM to get them. Okay, you don't know what's in here. You just take 2 foil packages and you pay for them, or the guy gives them to you for free if you're Bob Mason, because he's a big star, you know. Here, Bob, take a couple on me. You take them to the studio, you put them in the microwave, and you eat them 1 or 2, depending upon the mood of the morning. Guaranteed, 5.7 minutes later, instant heartburn, and God forbid, open the windows in the studio. I've tried them, I know. Pepsi Cola, not Coke, not orange juice, not coffee, not RC Cola, not water, not champagne, not beer, but Pepsi Cola. Why Pepsi Cola, you may ask? Why? Number one, the caffeine keeps the brain alive. Number two, it's cool, it's wet, it's carbonated. You drink one, you save one for later, and then when it's about 3/4 done, you take it out in the lounge and put it in the refrigerator so everybody can look at it and go, oh my God. The most important reason for the Pepsi is the next item in the package, Marlboros in the box. The soft pack if it's a dire emergency, but Marlboro box is the way to go. You buy 2 packs. Or if you're Bob Mason, you buy 1 pack, and the guy at the AM/PM says, here, Bob, take a couple of packs on me. Don't worry, I'll write it off. You smoke 1 pack in 4 hours. You smoke a pack of these in 4 hours, you're going to talk like this, and you're going to need a lot of this. And finally, simple aspirin. Simple aspirin, a couple of aspirins every day. You know, the new study just came out. A couple of aspirins every day makes the heart happy. Let me tell you, if you eat these every morning, drink 2 of these, smoke 2 packs of these, your heart's going to love you for the aspirin. Anything that doesn't have nicotine, caffeine, preservatives, or anything else in it. There's a man, he needs cigarettes. He just grabbed a full pack over there. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Bob Mason Morning Elixir Survival Package, not found on any supermarket shelf, not sold in any store, but for you, my friends, tonight, on your way out, only $5.95. Only $5.95. On with the show. The Master of Ceremonies is here, the guest is here. Have we got a treat for you? And I do believe a treat. You raved about him during the cocktail hour. We all tried to tell him to shut the hell up, but he wouldn't. You'll love him. He's one of Bob's closest friends. As a matter of fact, he thinks a lot like Bobby. And when he grows up, he wants to be just like Bob Mason. I hope he's around somewhere. I'm talking about the musical Benny Hill of the East, the one and only Wally Hughes.
What'd you expect, Como?
Now, he just told that I'm taking the place of Fred Decker, New York Post. I had no idea he was going to radio. Chicago. I thought he was going to the Bronx at the Puerto Rican Uprising game. But anyway, the band did very good before.
You know, the Bronx, that's the capital of Puerto Rico. Anyway, the band did very good before, and I wrote a little song for Bob, too. It goes like this. It's Bob Mason's time, it's Bobby Mason's time. We've come to honor him, we come to screw him. We're gonna make him cry, we're gonna make him die. For years he's been so perky, tonight we'll roast a jerky. And Bob, a lot of telegrams are coming, I know, but one telegram came in from the West Coast. They want him to be on MTV. Imagine this guy on MTV, Mexican television. Boy, the real gringo, he's gonna go all good. Well, Bobby, you know, Bobby has done a lot of things. He's been with WPYX for a long time. And, Bob, when you leave, it's going to be hard to fill your shoes. It's going to take 2 or 3 shovelfuls of manure. I'll tell you that much there. And this fella here, look at him. He drinks, he eats. In fact, this is a human garbage disposal unit right here. He has that strain underneath his nose there. But, Bobby, I'm going to make this short and sweet because I'm not getting paid here. But I want to tell you one thing, Bob. When you leave, there goes, I'm losing face. Everybody wants to get into the act. But Bob, when you leave, it's going to be hard to follow in your footsteps because you've given time, energy, and you played a lot of records without any quality, regard for quality at all. But one thing I want to say to you, Bob, is everyone here should honor you with giving you 3 cheers. All right? Oh, one more thing. I heard tell that you are the savior. Do you call yourself the savior of Albany?
Savior of Capital Land Radio.
Well, I'm glad they're crucifying you tonight. But before I go, Bobby, everyone here, let's give Bobby 3 cheers, well-deserved cheers. Ready? Hip, hip! Hip, hip! Hip, hip! Bobby.
All right, Wally, that was nice and short, too. Shocked the hell out of me. the ultimate yuppie. 'Tis time. The red Porsche, the power ties, the house in the suburbs. Child on the way. Hi, Pam, how are you feeling? 2-3 meetings every day at the Steuben. Pardon me. We love him, though. He's our boss. We have to say that. He's a great guy, Mr. Ed Levine. And this is the first time he's done his radio show in 2 weeks, so enjoy it.
When you're in management, you pick the right acts to follow. Thanks, Wally. Bob carries a lot of weight with Merv in upper management, I mean. In fact, I saw John had a telegram. I also, strangely enough, also got a telegram from Merv. Yeah, right before I got here. I have to apologize for the fact that none of the upper management of the station is here except me. It's not that they don't think a lot of Mason, as you'll see. Merv's telegram says, Bob who? No, there was something else there. That's the wrong one. I'll find the other one. Carol Riley wanted to be here. She's the general manager of the station. Unfortunately, I guess the Lifetime channel has a rerun of My Three Sons she hasn't seen yet, and she just couldn't make it. So you're stuck with me, representing the management of Pix 106. I'm here to talk about a guy that I kind of consider the Slap Maxwell of radio. To call Mason gentle, considerate, decent would be appropriate. It'd be appropriate if it was April Fool's Day, but it ain't. So I'm going to talk about the Mason that I know best, the Mason that has gone through contract negotiations with myself and Carol Riley and Merv for the last 8 or 9 months. Now, Bob hasn't known this up until now. Bob thought that I was deliberately stalling all these months to get his contract signed. That's not the case. See, being a big company like we are, we have consultants for everything. We have programming consultants, we have engineering consultants, we even have contract consultants. And I've invited our contract consultant here this evening so I could take a look at the contract and go through parts of it with you and judge for yourself whether it's a fair deal or not. So right now, could we have a round of applause for the official Pix 106 contract consultant who I've been meeting with on a daily basis for the last 6 months. Come on up here, Valerie. And let's have a hand, please. Very intense meetings, all hours of the day and night. And Mason cannot figure out why his contract hasn't been signed yet. Thank you, sweetheart. Same place later on, that's right. Okay. Pix 106's contract consultant, folks. All right, now I'm going to go through some of the parts of this contract with you. Some of the more what I felt were outrageous demands, and you tell me if we're right or wrong in signing this deal or not. Number 1. A Watts line must be installed to the Miller Brewery in Fulton, New York. Don't worry, Bob. They're getting nastier. Pix must pay. Now, this one really kind of got my goat a little bit here. Pix must pay all damages to anybody that Mason assaults when told on the street, hey, you look like Dr. Johnny Fever. This one really got the sales department pissed. He wants a trade. You saw the hot dog situation with him. He wants a trade of the local A+, so every morning he can go in there, get his 2 hot dogs loaded and a 6-pack of Pepsi before 5:30 in the morning. That came from the sales department. That's why that wasn't too funny. All right. Everybody knows Bobby's a big wrestling fan. And there's an option in here that has bothered me a little bit. There's an option in there to join the World Wrestling Federation at any point in his contract, to team up with the one-man gang, and the team will be known as 2 Tons of Fun. Now that's in there too. On a, am I getting them yet? I'm looking at his agent. Am I getting them yet? All right. The gloves are coming off now. The gloves are coming off now. And last but not least, This is the one sticking point in the contract that I'd like your opinion on, because this is what's holding things up right now. At no point during the term of this contract can we change the name of the show from Mason and Nash to Cliff and the Fat Man. That cannot happen at any time. What do you think? All right. Bobby, I just want to say, behave yourself tonight. I'll sign the contract. Misbehave yourself, and I'll hire that jackass with the $2 bills. Thank you.
Okay? Up next, a guy who has the uncanny ability to do a sports report from the payphone in the hallway of Federal Express. That's why if you listen real closely towards the end of some reports, it goes like this. That's in sports. This is Danny Ferris, Pix 106. Now what you don't hear is, what? Who? Oh, my wife, Rosie's sick. I had to call her. Bob and I, and everybody who know him, thank Harry Arroyo for that beautiful, beautiful right that sent him to the canvas and made him a sports broadcaster, Danny Ferris.
Jeez, you guys won't ever let me forget that, will you? First it was Mouse Strauss, now it's Harry Arroyo. I don't know, for some reason I feel like I should be brought to you by McDonald's or something. I just feel uncomfortable. You know, Syracuse won last night, Bobby. That only means one thing, but I'm going to leave them on today.
You got the shorts on?
I've got the shorts on, but... I would have worn the sweatshirt too, but just a little too bulky under the coat.
And the hat, and the coffee
mug. The hat, the coffee mug, we do it all. Get these damn things back. I'm a nervous wreck up here.
You okay, Dan?
Shit.
Good.
I can't keep this up here. This is terrible. Story of my life. You know what I mean? I got 2 kids, that's it.
That's what Rosie says. He can't keep it up.
The last time I was this nervous before people was the Arroyo fight, and like I said, we all know what happened there.
No, what happened?
Second round, I think it was. I'm not too sure. I read about it in the paper the next day. In the short time that I've known Bobby, though, honest to God, between my wife Rosie and I've suffered more than a cowboy with hemorrhoids, honest to God. He has put me through some kind of hell, this guy. As my wife would say, how do you describe someone who's touched your life like the plague? The guy's disgusting. He's going to die of Pepsi-Cola poison someday, and I'll be happy when it happens. I was in Rochester for 2 weeks. We had a Federal Express school out there, just to give you an example. And Bobby thought it was a great idea to have my wife do the show for 2 weeks. The first week, Bobby's on vacation, so she did it with Joe Moss, and she felt great, comfortable. Really turned out real well. The second week, Bobby came back, and she said to me over the weekend, I'm not doing it with the guy. I said, come on. I said, he's not that bad. He's very professional. He'll help you out. He'll comfort you. He'll be right there with you. I said, just do it one day. Everything will be okay. She calls me that Monday afternoon, you son of a bitch. She says, I'm not doing it the rest of the week. He gets her on the phone. The first thing out of his mouth, well, Rosie, now that Danny's out of town, you been getting him much or what? I had to do it from Rochester over the phone the rest of the week on payphone. The guy's disgusting. One time I really thought, this isn't satisfaction for me, by the way. Satisfaction is my last day at Pix 106. I'm going to haul up and belt the guy. That's satisfaction for me. I just turned down a fight in South Africa. I got a call from a promoter. They offered me $7,500 to go over to South Africa, fight, come home with the money, everything like that. I turned it down. I'm not interested in coming out of retirement. If someone offers me a piece of toilet paper tonight, I will come out of retirement for one and one person only. A piece of toilet paper, mind you. I did have one fight with Frankie Sheen a few years ago, and I really thought Bobby could help me out with this particular fight. I asked him to work my corner, him and his ex-partner, Billy Sheehan. I thought it was great. It was a publicity stunt. We could have used the publicity on the fight. And Bobby loved the idea. The whole week, during the week, 6 o'clock every morning, call me. You're out doing your war work. You bum. You lose, you're going to embarrass the hell out of me. Rosie, leave him alone. No sex before the fight. You're not supposed to do that. You should be sleeping on the couch. The whole week I had to go through that. Friday night's the fight. I get to the fight and I got my black velvet trunks on, nice robe, and I got the Pix 106 logo on it, and I was all excited, and I get into the arena, and I wanted to go up and show Bobby my trunks. I was like a little kid. I was so excited. And I'm walking up to where Bobby was, and I had the commissioner, Rich Herring, with me. We got about 15 feet from Bobby, and I swear to God, he's slouched over a rail, he's got a drink in one hand, his belly's hanging over the rail, and we both just stopped and took a look at the guy, and Rich looked at me, and I looked at him and said, you know, Danny, you've done some strange shit in your career, but I can't believe you let this guy work your corner for this fight. I think he should retire. I was a nervous wreck. I didn't know what to do. Because I got a guy like that in my corner. How do you win? I did win the fight. 10 rounds. It was great. I'm going to get a raise after this, I swear. I'm going to need it. Bobby pulls a lot of weight around the station at Pix 106, and after looking under this cummerbund, he's got a lot of weight to pull. Bobby, thanks for being here. It was a great time.
Hey! Bobby, and our next roaster is probably inevitable. It makes sense. When this guy first came to Albany, he immediately got on Mayor Whalen's shit list, which endeared him to Bobby. And after all, this guy's an expert on rowdies, punks, and yahoos, so I guess the meeting was inevitable. A man who was thrown down a flight of stairs off a stage to defend the honor of Mason and Nash in New York. He was thrown off the stage by his wife. The leader and founder of the Guardian Angels, The Rock, Curtis Sliwa.
You give the impression, Cliff, that I came into Albany and started all this Huckleberry rap with the mayor. Hey, let me tell you something. I'm coming in from Syracuse, right? A major success, having organized a chapter. And we're running and gunning down the thruway. We're going to land on Clinton Avenue in the middle of Arbor Hill. Little did I know, the day before, the morning before, my good friend Bob Mason running his mouth to the brothers on Arbor Hill through the airwaves. And who meets me on the corner of Clinton with the bravado? Al Sharpton's father, Nebraska Brace. And I want to tell you, I didn't have enough Preparation H to rub him away that day. Well, he's a hooting and a hollering, and his process is going like Don King in 5 different directions. I turn to the fellas, I say, hey, I did shower this week, you know. And I mean, this guy is fired up, mail order minister, how dare you? I come to find some of the brothers who used to live downstate come up and say, yo, bro, didn't you know the Caucasian persuasion on the line? The Snow Bro, Mason, Savior Capital Land Radio. He was dissing you all morning. Well, I needn't have to tell you, it was bad enough, the rhetoric of Brace. Well, we had to fight our way through knuckle sandwiches all the way through the hill. The next day, we're outside of Albany City Hall, pristine, a small mist coming down. We're in Academy Park. And out of this fog comes these 2 angelic creatures. Bill Sheenan and Bob Mason. And they had that glow emanating from them.
Bob Mason and Bill.
Oh, excuse me. Hey, wait a second. Uncle Vito, correct history. It was Bill that I first saw. And Bill ushers me over to the side as the local district attorney is ready to serve me papers. And he goes, hey, come on, you got to show up in the morning on the program. Boy, we're going to have such a gangbang. It'll be great. I got enough problems, right? All of a sudden, I show up in the early morning hours, and like Cliff said, boy, he gave me the survival pack. 26 bottles of Pepsi-Cola. I mean, I was fired up on caffeine. And he's baiting me and goading me. Hey, what do you think of the mayor? You know, you play a press conference on regular speed and you got to play it at high speed in order to understand him. So, I'm sociable. He's my host, my guest, and I'm parlaying the rap. Well, I get to City Hall that morning, and our friend from the police union is at the front door. And I had to take the position. Well, you know what that meeting turned out. Well, Mason and Sheen, they assure me, hey, no problem, kid. Next time, we're going to teach you the right way. Now, previous to this, we'd always had a great relationship, I and Lisa, with the grand poobah, Professor Cuomo. A great relationship. In fact, when we first came in and Whalen was really sticking it to us, the professor said, well, let me tell you. They're not the sons and daughters of doctors and lawyers, but I'd rather have them on the corner with the beret and t-shirt rather than a submachine gun. Well, haven't you noticed, ever since I met up with this huckleberry here, we are sort of not welcomed at the Cuomo residence? We're protesting outside the Cuomo residence because they raised a bloody fare for that iron horse in the city to $1. And Mr. Mason comes along and says, hey, let me teach you something. You gotta have a gimmick. You gotta have a pull. Take these dimes that I'm gonna give you right here. Toss them over the fence. I want to see the state troopers go diving for them. Hey, when Dad tells you to do something, you do it. We did it. All of a sudden, my friend from the police union and his colleagues taking us off to the Hooskow. Bob and Uncle Vito say, hey, don't worry, kid. We got it fixed. We know the judge. So the day before I go before the Lord and Master, Judge Keegan, and we're trudging up in about 6 foot of snow along the thruway, who's blasting and dashing but Bob on the radio, and he's quoting me as calling Judge Keegan everything in the book.
I heard you say wimp.
Yes. And his parting words, Bob's parting words is, don't worry about it. I'm sending Uncle Vito in there with you. And all 12 of us guardian angels go marching in, and I'm all cocky and big and bad, because Bob has told me you don't take nothing from Keegan. He likes a nice, cocky, feisty guy from Brooklyn. I'm bad. Yeah, Keegan. And so I'm strutting my stuff, and all of a sudden, in the midst of this, like the Red Sea parting, Uncle Vito comes in. And I'm telling you, Keegan was hot to trot that day. He was like 60 days. No parole. You do the time, you did the crime. Vito comes in, and all of a sudden, his eyes like, Uncle Vito. I felt assured. And Uncle Vito goes up there and starts the dialogue with the judge, and everything's going well, and we all come in front of the judge, and he has a big smile ear to ear. I figured the fix was in, right? How do you plead, Mr. Sliwa? Not guilty. It was my duty, my responsibility to defend the Slavic downtrodden of New York City. He says, is that the case, huh? 10 days in the slammer. I said, the fix is in. 10 days in. You're a friend of Bob Mason? I'll give you another 10 for that. Being friends with Bob Mason really helps in Capitol Land. Well, the moral of the story is, not just in Capitol Land, but halfway across the world in the bowels of Tijuana, Mexico. I mean, we were down and out. We were captured at the border by these armed desperados, thrown in one of those Tijuana jails where they don't find you for years. I had one call and one call only. Jiminy Cricket, when I pulled out that wallet, the only number I had was to the nut line. The police chief of Tijuana's name was Chief Sosa, quoted as saying, "We welcome the guardian angels. In fact, we have much room in our jails, amigo. We like those red berets in t-shirts because we tell you you can go to hell." One call only. I'm having a terrible X-lax attack all over the place. The call goes in, right? It took like 29 different operators before they could get Capital Land. They put it through to Bob, right? He's like in the tail end of his show. He hears the desperate plea, "Bob, please, we may go away forever." Click. What a buddy. Thank you, Uncle Vito, coming to the rescue. The Learjet was waiting there in San Diego to whisk us back to the NYC. But really, it's been a blast being up here in Capital Land because, let's face it, when you hook in to Bob Mason, this Capital Land savior, a parachute, a bulletproof vest, insurance payments, fixes with the judge and the governor, are not going to do you much good. But one thing we have come to know, his family, his wife, his thousands, his legions of listeners have always rolled out the red carpet and treated us first class all the way. And on behalf of cystic fibrosis and Bob Mason, I really can't imagine, out of the many, many different media people that I've met across the country, and let me tell you, I've rolled up my sleeves and taken that media fix from time to time. But I might add, when it comes to this new guy Sharpton, I'm like Greta Garbo. But this guy is A1 in our book. And thank God, Bob, you got me up here in Albany so I wouldn't have to be back with the macrobiotic queen and her rap, jap, lack, and quack at me all day long. Thank you, Bob.
Curtis will be giving speech lessons to Tim Coyne after tonight's festivities. Not even a cue card for that. Woo! Well, after that, we're going to have to up the odds. The next event could get out of hand. It's 2 against 1, dirty pool street fighting. I may even have to come over the ropes with a chair for this one. Vince McMahon wanted him for WrestleMania 4, but they were busy. Someone I know calls them the Mason and Nash of local journalism. From News Center 630, Liz Bishop and Brian Burnell. Liz, do you know this guy?
Cliff, that's the Mason and Sheehan of local television.
Don't say the S word.
I think we're in a lot of trouble. They put us up after Sliwa and before Sheehan. I feel like a sacrificial lamb. Do you look good in mint jelly, Brian? I don't understand.
I want to say one thing. Danny Ferris, 2 weeks in Rochester, Federal Express training. Can you picture that 2 weeks of, this is how to load a box.
We got to give a special thanks, too, to Cliff Nash. You probably heard all the stories about Mason walking all over the people that work with him. It's really not true. I've been in the studio. Although, quite frankly, it is true that both Nash and Sheehan have matching linoleum shirts. I've seen them. I'm surprised they didn't wear them tonight.
But they do look great tonight. Look at the tuxes. Isn't it great? Oh, look, don't be real flattered by Bill's tux. He's also celebrating that he does have a job now.
You know, I sit here tonight.
It's an auspicious occasion, isn't it?
It is that. Auspicious, I think,
is a good word. That's the one that
Jim couldn't
tripped
say.
over. Yeah.
So, seeing as how we can say auspicious, we can probably point out that...
We haven't been drinking as much as Jim has tonight.
Did you have the feeling being a part of this tonight that Mason had greatness thrust upon him and ducked? I don't know. Well, the only thing I feel really bad about is that I meant to tell the waiter not to serve Bob any more liquor.
You didn't do that?
No, I forgot. I know I should have.
Yeah?
You know, to me, when they keep serving Bob liquor like this, it's a lot like giving Visine to Peeping Tom. I'm not sure.
That's true. You know, but he is trying to cut down on his drinking. The olives are bigger.
I don't know. Mason drinks so much, he used to take 4 to 5 hour lunches, but he had to give them up. He realized he was cutting into happy hour. All right. You probably don't know that Bob really likes to travel to Montreal.
No, I didn't know that.
Yes, it's really true. Sorry, I thought I was working alone.
Great pay. I don't look like George Burns. She don't look like Gracie Allen. Don't expect the world, all right?
Come on. We rehearsed this all day. I don't understand. All right,
The show looked like it did.
So Bob likes to go to Montreal. It's true.
Does he really?
He really does. As a matter of fact, he brings new meaning to the slogan, Drink Canada Dry.
Long way to go for that one. Long way.
All right, I knew you'd like it. As a matter of fact, Bob once considered Alcoholics Anonymous. He thought it was a place where he could go and drink in secret.
You know, but part of the problem with drinking does make you gain weight. In fact, Bob is getting so big he's starting to show up on satellite photographs.
No, I don't think that's very nice. You told me earlier it might be better just to describe him as a model for duffel bags. I don't understand.
No, when this guy goes jogging, he leaves a trail of potholes, I'm telling you.
You know, I think that's unfair because Bob has the kind of physique that looks great in those tapered shirts, you know, especially when he wears them upside down.
You know, I don't understand really what's been going on here. We were asked to stay away from sexual preference tonight, and I have heard some references. I'm just going to leave it at Bob Mason has been banned from the petting zoo. He does, though, he does still have that gleam in his eye because he keeps missing with the toothpaste.
Look, I don't want to say Bob is conceited, but it is true. Last week I heard him calling Dial-A-Prayer and checking for messages.
Let's wrap this up. All kidding aside, you know, talking to the people who work at PIX, they say Bob's a great guy to work with. He really is.
Well, I think that's probably true. As a matter of fact, you probably don't all know this, but Bob's secretary likes to go to the races a great deal.
Does she
after
really?
a long day at work. Yes, let me get that in. It'll make all the difference. It's a long day at work, and she likes to go to the races.
Does she? In your case, Bob.
Well, she likes to go to the races, and she likes to sit in front of the starting gate, I understand.
Oh, why is that?
Well, she says, Brian, she likes to sit in front of the starting gate because it's the only time all day that she gets to see a horse's front. You take it.
Thank you. Let me steal these and get them out of the way. I don't want to be stealing them.
Why do I feel like saying, hello, picture on the nut line? I don't know, Liz. Why? We've come to our final roaster, and then we're going to let Bob rebut.
Okay. This gentleman and I wasn't real happy with this guy a few months ago. When he suddenly, well, I got back from vacation in July, and I was just doing my midday show, just relax, you know, Far Out, Electric Bunch, you know. How's everybody doing? Let's listen to some stuff from the 60s. I come back from vacation, Levine grabs me and says, "You're doing mornings starting Monday." Oh, God!
It took me 2.5 years to find the guy so I could get out of doing mornings. But Bill disappeared. And then he miraculously reappeared. And if you look closely under the hairline in front, you'll see a line of sutures. He had a brain operation, and that's why we didn't hear from him for a while. They gave him a brain, and he got a real job, a good job. Actually, a fantastic job. We're all glad that Bill made the transition to television. He is schooled as a journalist, and he's now producer, and I guess starting this weekend, street reporter for News Center 6, Mr. Bill Sheehan. You sure you don't want the job back?
Thank you.
How about 500?
No.
I've been waiting for this for weeks.
All right.
You ready? I'm ready. Some of you might not recognize that instrument of destruction. That was a Christmas present I gave Tim one year during a wrestling heyday. That is a genuine, autographed Freddie Blassie King. Totally legitimate. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank, first of all, Cystic Fibrosis for asking me to join this panel of luminaries in roasting Mason, but looks like he came well prepared to suffer the brickbats of all these people. He wore lots of padding. That is padding, isn't it? Well, I'm sure that, as time's passed on, more than a few out there wondered how such a relatively normal, well-adjusted person like myself wound up spending 3.5 long, arduous years working with a man who makes Godzilla look like the United States ambassador to Japan. Well, shock and surprise, it wasn't always easy. When we went to London, Mason made the British glad they'd lost the damn colonies. Mason was the reason Disney World issued their first ever shoot-to-kill order. Mason met Mother Teresa once. She took a swing at him. There are lots of stories I could tell, but Bob's wife is here and my wife is here, so why don't you do something with that, okay? Actually, this is quite the panel. I really think that Bob should be saluted for the friends he's attracted here today. It's quite the distinguished panel. Liz and Brian, I've got to watch myself here. I still work with them. They're unique. In fact, they do what they do better than anyone else I've ever met. I'll be damned if I can figure out the hell that is, but they really pull it off, though, don't they? Jim Coyne, Albany County's first and only county executive. Tells some great jokes, he really does. Skyboxes, $50,000, Jim, that's a beaut. I'm telling you. Amazing. That's a great one. Curtis Sliwa, my old buddy. Everyone knows about Sliwa's battles with the slime and grime of the subways and the streets. Well, you'd be a lot less intimidated if you knew that the Mighty Whitey still hasn't laid a glove on Flipper the Rat. Flipper is that sizable rodent that really calls the shots around the Sliwa household in the village. Curtis uses a Lee Mazzilli bat and has had about as much success as Lee. Of course, it's always good to see Fran Ingram. Fran taking time out from her brown-nosing, socializing, to be a roaster here tonight. Whitney's are out of town, are they, Fran? Where'd she go? Danny Ferris, the former Intercontinental Ballistic Middleweight Champion. What the hell is that belt, anyway? When did you win that? How long was that poker game? It was a while ago. And of course, McLaughlin, my buddy, I'm glad I sat next to him tonight, John McLaughlin. John's penchant for cigars, as you probably know, is legendary. And so is their odor. I mean, it's been a tough night. John, I've learned he only smokes a special brand, El Stencheros, a premium tobacco wrapped in birdcage linings. Tried to get rid of them once, the trench coat too, but New Jersey decided they had to draw the line somewhere. And Uncle Vito, a genius, really. You got to go along with that, isn't he? A family man, successful in business, and respected wherever he goes. There, how was that? Is that okay? All right, good. You know, even though I've been away from Mason for several months, people ask me, does Mason have a big ego? My reply is usually compared to what? If you're talking about an aircraft carrier, of course, if Bob continues his expansion around the waistline, he's going to give me an easy reference point. Of course, I promised myself now that I wouldn't take the easy route and make fun of Mason's girth, but promises are made to be broken. Really, you got to start watching it, man. When people start referring to your belt as the equator, you really got to get a grip on things. All right, now getting back to Bob's ego, it really never stood in the way of doing what we had to do, unless, of course, he opened his mouth. And then it got trouble. Many's the time we had a great idea, all wrapped up, big time promotion, and then, hours of work shot to hell in flames. It was really embarrassing. Of course, another of the questions I've been asked is, where did Mason come from? Well, there's a couple. There's a couple of versions of that story that I've heard. The first says that he came from humble beginnings. The son of sharecroppers, spending much of his time toting kindling wood and picking cotton, and then the great armies from the north came and burned the fields, but I never really bought that one. The other story goes like this. Skies darkened, the earth shook violently, oceans bubbled, mountains heaved, and then slithering out from under a rock, see, that one always did go over better. Well,
not without TV coverage.
In summation, yeah, right. You didn't think that'd get off this easy, did you? Well, you don't. And why should you? You didn't give Sonny Whitney a break at Katie Hill, did you? All right, so he came after you with a chair. And the elbow was enough, but you didn't have to give him the body slam. He was already down. It was embarrassing. These are things that are tough to answer. Actually, I too was asked to carry a couple of messages here to you too tonight because they knew I'd do it. Mayor Whalen, of course, couldn't be here, but he says to tell you that it's a great night for Albany. And Governor Cuomo couldn't be here either. He says you had a lot of call inviting him. You really should know better by now. But with all that out of the way, I do want to say something, all kidding aside. And this man and I went through some trip together in 3.5 years. It wasn't always easy, but there aren't many things I'd change. He's a lot of things, and many of them you've heard here tonight. And some you won't, because nobody likes a lawsuit and there are cameras here. But he's my friend, and I really hope that never changes. Thank you very much.
Anybody else? Don't all line up. It's rebuttal time. Do you think we should let him do it or just go to hell home? Can he remember everybody that was up here? 1, 2, 3, 4.
That was what he spilled.
I have to second what Bill just said about Bob. And I have to add also that this man is the ultimate professional. I think in the 6 years that I've known him, he maybe has been sick twice. Sick enough to keep him out of the studio. He works through every condition, no matter how shitty he feels. When that mic goes on, that voice is there. He's a true professional, and hey, if he's gotten you pissed off on the radio from time to time, yeah, right. Fuck you. He doesn't care. Bob Mason.
Who was it who took my opening line? My opening line was supposed to be "fuck you." Well,
From the board.
I guess we could go right
Joe,
down.
you want to come up and run the board, please?
I guess we could go right down the line. First of all, I'd like to introduce Joe Moss, who produces this every morning on the station. And my wife, St. Sheila the Patient. And rather than talk about what a jerk Curtis is, or what skyboxes are going to cost, or the fact that Ferris couldn't fight his way out of a wet paper bag to start with. Hi, Liz. Hi, Brian. Ed, we got to talk. Tuffy, I ain't gonna badmouth. He can arrest my ass, you know? McLaughlin's all right, no matter what Fran says about him. She and I...
Go ahead. Spit it out.
I'm really pleased that everything has gone so well. This guy left me back in August like a real jerk, you know, just I'm not working there again. And then he spends, you know, and this is after 3 years as my sidekick, being strictly a second banana. And then he spent 6 months on the beach. Nobody picked him up to work. And then about January, he went to work for Channel 6, and he proved that he was everything that he said he was, and I'm really proud of Bill. I'd also like to point out that Milton Berle was right in that you don't have to be bright to succeed in television. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. I guess we got some rock and roll. I know we got a face full of Wally coming up. Cliff, thank you for being Roastmaster. Thank everybody who was a part of all this nonsense. But most of all, I have to thank Bill Nash, my partner, for everything they've done for me. Cliff, thank you. Bill, thank you.
Say goodbye, dummy.
You must remember this. A kiss is still a kiss. A sigh is still a sigh. The fundamental things apply as time goes by. Play it again, Shan, a little louder. And when two lovers woo, they still say I love you. On that you can rely. Oh, I like the way he sings. Oh, can I sing like that to Rick? Rick, will you give me the chance, Rick? Oh, wait, kid. No matter what the future brings, as time goes by. Fabulous. Haven't seen it like that in a long time. Come goes down. Moonlight and love song, never a day. Hearts full of passion, jealousy and hate. Oh, hello, big boy. Are you glad to see me? Or is that a pipe in your pocket? Now, listen here, baby. Get out of here. The man knows that was made, that no one can deny. It's still the same old story, a fight for love and glory, a case of do or die. That's right, kid. What do you say? What do you know? Oh, let you in here. This is Rick's place. I don't want you in here. All right, kid, I'm going. Don't get excited.